Hello. Hello, everyone. Hi, it's me again. Okay. I am now joined by social media queen herself, Helen Reynolds. There? Or she might be there, whichever way. Hello.
Hello. I'm everywhere. I'm wherever you point.
For those of you who don't know Helen, which I'm pretty sure most of you will do, Helen, she's a social media creativity expert and runs the company commsCreatives, which offers social media training for comms pros in the public sector and for charities. And today, Helen's session is all about why serious organisations need to use humour in their comms, because being funny on social media isn't just for fluffy retail brands. I mean, come on, everyone can do it, Aldi. So stop holding it to yourself. So before we start, just say, don't forget to use the emojis below. I've already seen you tapping away at them. And any questions, just pop them in the Q&A tab and we'll get to them during the end. And if you want subtitles, it's the little CC button down here. Great. There we go, Helen. Over to you.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to check you can see my slides. Yeah, I think you can. I think I can see them there. Thanks for that lovely intro. I am delighted to be here. I'm going to take you through what I think is kind of like an argument for why humour is going to be not just, engaging for your audiences. And that, what we'll talk about today is about humour. It can be for internal audience. It can be, it can even be for stakeholders that aren't your average audiences. But my expertise is social media. So that's what we're going to talk about. Look at why to do it and why it's really important, not just to get them engaged, but actually to enhance your brand. Before I get to that, I just want to tell you a little bit about me, because I don't know everyone here, and I'm not going to talk to you about me. I'm going to talk to you about our work at commsCreatives. I run commsCreatives and I run it with my gorgeous sister, Leslie, who's an ex-teacher, which I think is interesting because I've discovered this week that loads of people in comms at commsHERO are ex-teachers. We run this business, which is all about training people. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about that before we get into the humour and why it's important stuff. Because I'm an ex-council communications person. So it's a good 10 years since I worked in, well, maybe a little bit less than 10 years since I worked in a council comms department, doing social media back in the days. I was there with MySpace and early Twitter and Facebook and all of those days. What I always loved about training days was that you'd go away, you'd meet up with other comms people and you would get inspired. And what I've noticed over the years of doing lots of training with lots of incredibly talented people who work in comms departments is this is what happens. You get all inspired, but sometimes when you get back into the office, you get this feeling of, oh yeah, but I can't do that today because I've got a massively busy schedule, or I want to do this, but then you reach a few kind of stalemate points with your colleagues where, you might have the chief exec who's like, yeah, but that might not work, or loads of things get in the way of you implementing that stuff. And also, I, as a trainer, felt that loads of people would come and do training with us, and then I had to leave them on their own. And I wanted to stay with them and help them. And when they tried things out, come back and chat with them. So the point of this is we have a really interesting way of training. What makes us special is that we have an online academy where people join us for a year and they do loads of training with us in a time that fits around their schedules. And our clients become our friends, we're there to support you. So we're all about skills, but we're also about, supporting you to become more confident and more brilliant at what you do in the real world. So that's enough about what we're doing. Social Media Comms Academy is open at the moment. So if anybody wants to kind of talk to me about that, you can do it, but I won't go on. What the work that we do is with very serious people doing important work. So here's an example of some of the people who are in our academy, our social media academy, who do incredibly life-changing work. And sometimes that work isn't necessarily, like councils or governments or NHS. Sometimes it's a charity with a very specific audience that are changing lives. Sometimes it's just an organisation that is a bit hard to communicate with, a little bit boring maybe. And there's a reason I put all of these logos in black and white, to kind of make it look a bit better, but to kind of say, yeah, they're serious, but there's colour in them all. We can all find creative ways to engage with our audiences that aren't just focused on being solemn, on being really po-faced and not relating with our audience. So today's session hopefully is going to be fun, because I'm going to show you some fun stuff from brands. The business case for comedy in your comms. What kind of humour to use for your brand? There's loads of different ones that you can use. I'm going to bring out 3 safe comedy types, basically. 3 ways that you can bring more humour into what you're doing that aren't going to get you in trouble. We're not going to be doing mother-in-law jokes or anything like that. So while I'm going through, I'm just going to ask you a little bit about, like, have you seen a social media post or a brand that you're aware of that has made you smile recently? Have you got any good examples of funny stuff? Get them in the chat, because I want to come back to you later and just see what's going on there. But I'd love to hear about anything that you've seen that's funny lately, because I'm going to show you some good examples. And I would love to hear yours. So I'm just going to faff a little bit because I've lost my slide changing thing. That's the official name. Right, there we are. So starting off with this quote from John Cleese. Comedian, Basil Fawlty. Some of you may not know him because you're young and not old like me. But too many people confuse being serious with being solemn. And this is a real point when we start to work with organisations, especially around social media strategy. A lot of the time they'll say, oh yeah, but people don't want that from our organisation. We're serious, so we can't do this creative stuff. Well, actually, it's really important that you can connect with people in a way that makes them feel emotion, in a way that makes them like you. And we're going to have a look at ways you can do this. Being solemn, straight-faced and unwilling to joke about things doesn't so let's talk about this. UK cuff, but actually principle should be there. So even if you kind of think, I don't really get the joke here, it's not that funny, I'm not here to make you laugh necessarily, but to kind of understand what humour does. And I'm never going to, I'm not saying I'm a great, hilarious person either. I'm no comedian. I'll never be as funny as Alistair Green. If anyone follows him on Twitter or Instagram, you'll know that he's probably the funniest person alive. He's certainly the funniest social media comedian. And, Schitt's Creek GIFs always do the job nicely. But it's not a competition. This is about bringing a bit more humour to the work that you do. So let's talk about what humour is. And I'm going back to, I possibly think I've got the quote from the oldest person in commsHERO this year. I'm going to Aristotle. The secret to humour is surprise. So actually, a lot of the time, humour comes from this element of the unexpected. And this can be massively powerful for your comms, to give people something that they don't expect from you. So I try and do this a little bit. Some of you who do know me will know that I do these kind of scrawls, these doodles. And I'm always messing about trying to make people just laugh about a topic. So this is a tweet that I put out yesterday. Some of you might have seen it. Coffee sizes. So the reason that this is kind of a slightly humorous post is the unexpected. There's 3 kind of standard, ordinary, we all know that there are different sizes of coffee cup. And then the surprise there is you work in the big jug is the you work in comms thing. So you don't expect to see that because you're just kind of thinking coffee sizes, and then that comes in and it surprises you. So I doubt anybody wet their pants when they saw this post, but it might have made a few people smile. And the reason I put this twice in is that I posted it on Twitter and it got, a bit of engagement. People said funny and, I love coffee, and we had little conversations about it. I posted the same thing on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is this place that people think is this solemn place. Oh, everyone's at work on LinkedIn, so you can't have any kind of interesting conversation. You've just got to go on there and be delighted to announce stuff all the time. But actually, LinkedIn involves lots of human beings who are, who have senses of humour too. So you can bring a bit of humour to your comms in almost any space that you're going to, as long as you do it right, as long as you make it relevant to your audience there. And this is a council example. So I'm going to talk about this kind of unexpected fun with a couple of council examples, because I'm obsessed with councils. I'm always looking at their stuff. So the Lincoln Resilience Forum. The reason this is funny, right, is you don't expect a council or a council-funded group to say the phrase, "Don't act like a dick." And I really love how cheeky they are. They've really kind of pushed it there by like making an excuse to say the word "don't act a dick" by making this little kind of Corona character called Dick. And again, it makes people smile. It gives them a little chuckle. The same with lots of council did this, including Cheltenham Council did a fab version of this, "Don't be a tosser" message. So instead of people, how many times do we hear from councils to not drop your litter? Probably not many, because we don't see their tweets, because they don't reach us, because nobody engages with them. Whereas this tweet from Cardiff Council, near to where I live, got 131 likes. Not many tweets from councils telling people not to drop their litter get 131 likes. And the reason is, "Don't be a tosser" is not something you expect to hear from your council. So it took them by surprise. It kind of made them go, huh. And that's all we're looking for here. Huh is attention. Huh is thinking about your brand in a way that you might not have done before. And if you're a council, you've got all of these lorries and stuff. So why not name your bin lorry Gary Binnaker? Because it's unexpected. People don't expect to see it. In fact, people love this stuff so much that all over the world people talk about it. So I'm going to show you this this TikTok where Doncaster Council are responding to somebody in America, I don't know where, who's going on about how UK councils use their named their gritters different names.
It turns out they name their salt gritters.
Hi, I'm here from Doncaster.
I don't think that's worked. I'm not going to persist with it. I'll share the link to the TikTok later on. Doncaster Council just talk about their gritter names, which are very, very cool and worth us looking at another time, but let's not persist. Let's see. Oh, I'm not sure. There we are. So, yeah, Spencer from Prezi earlier on, if you were watching Spencer, was talking about these 6 basic emotions. And, the two that are really easy for us to tap into as communicators doing things often for social good are happiness and surprise. But we often don't use the surprise. We just do the same old thing over and over again. And humour can be a great way to get an emotional reaction from people, which is what you want. You don't want no emotional reaction, do you? Because that's being ignored. So let's get into the research, the hard, heavy stuff, and then I'll show you some nice, funny stuff. The benefits of humour. According to research, it builds rapport and the liking of the humorist. So if you're in an organisation that gets a lot of flack, building rapport and getting people to like you is really important. It's really high on your agenda. It's reputation building. Making the target person want to listen more. If you've got something important to tell people and you want to change their behaviour, you want to get them to listen to you first. Humour can help you do that. Anyone who knows about talking at commsHERO, so any of you speakers out there will know that actually a little bit of a joke or a laugh can relax you before you're going to do something like this. And you have all got audiences who are stressed out by past 18 months, stressed out by life generally. And if you can relax them with a bit of humour, it means they're more receptive to what you want to talk to them about. Makes people feel good. That's what we're about, right? It makes the information more memorable. That is huge for us. And it distracts people from thinking about counter arguments. For those Machiavellian people around, you might want to distract people from everything else. Or you can think of this as, the antidote to misinformation. If you can grab people in with humour, it stops them thinking about all of that fake news that's going on. So, according to research by Sprout Social, I've got the links, I'll share the slides if anybody wants to see this. 3 in 4 consumers can appreciate humour from brands. That's 1 person out of 4 who doesn't. But, are we going to worry about, are we always going to try and please everyone? No. The behaviours that consumers want from brands on social. Honesty, we've got that sorted, we're all ethical. Friendly, yeah, of course, that's in our tone of voice guide, if we've got one. It's always in there. Helpful, yeah, I'd like to think that. And then after that, it's funny. That's a lot. That's 72% of people are telling people, are saying in this research that they quite like funny stuff. Who doesn't like funny stuff? Like, I can remember back in the days when I was in Tinder and people would say, love to laugh. Or, of course, we all love to laugh. Like, yes, of course, it's an obvious thing. Let's not get into trendy, politically correct and snarky for now. 17% of people increase the chance, 17% increase in the chance of having a positive impact on behaviour when you use relevant humour. Relevance is, I put that in bold myself. You're not going to just go in with a knock-knock joke and expect people to change their behaviour. But if you can be relevant about it, which I'll show you some examples, great. And it's this classic quote that you'll always get at every conference from someone. People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And if you made them smile, it hangs about in their mind. That's part of your brand. If you're an organisation like a housing association, let's say, a part of your agenda is always about combating loneliness and connecting communities. And laughter has evolved as a way to connect people. Do you ever if you're ever watching comedy live, when you're laughing, you tend to look to the person you're with, you tend to look for other people and laugh together. It connects people. So Yorkshire Tea are doing an amazing job at connecting people, right? Because a tweet like this made me laugh. I thought I'd add it in because I saw it the other day. It'd be a real shame if you didn't buy Yorkshire Tea and something bad were to happen to your hamster. It's just stupid. It's not going to make me run out and say, let me buy 600 bags of Yorkshire Tea. But it fits in with that whole brand that makes me feel like, oh, Yorkshire Tea, they're so down to earth, they're so Yorkshire, I like that. And I do buy Yorkshire Tea, so it's going to just remind me of it, and maybe I'll have a few extra cups. It's shareable. This is the point. If you can be funny, people are much more likely to share it. I won't go into detail in it. And I'm not saying that everything you do has to be funny. Funny posts on their own won't work. We talk about this in the Social Media Academy, where the strategy that you're going to use is always about pulling people in, attracting them to you, getting them to know you as a brand, warming them up so that they like you, reassuring them that you are good at what you do, getting them to trust you, and then you can ask them to act. So humour is not going to really be massively useful for you in the asking to act bit or the reassure, but attracting people to your brand, getting them to follow you, getting them to give you the benefit of the doubt when you cock up, getting them to warm to you. Humour has a huge part in that mix of all the other things that we teach in the academy as well around, making content engaging. Humour is one of them. It grabs people's attention and it stops those scrolling thumbs, And humour gets people commenting and sharing. I know whenever I do a fun post, and this is whether I've done it for brands or for myself, people always want to join in. They want to have their own funny version, and there's something about it that just it's approachable. It gets people wanting to talk to you. So here's an example of that. One I always go back to because I love it. You may remember in 2017, Twitter went from 140 characters to 280. And in order to celebrate this, London Ambulance Service put a tweet out that used all of those characters, and they just said Nino Nino with some emojis. And Look at the stats on this, right? So 28.8 thousand people liked it and 10.3 thousand people were tweeting about this like almost meaningless tweet. But it just reminded people that they're there, that they do the thing. I won't, no one wants to analyze a joke. It just kind of was silly and it made people smile. And it caught on. People loved it. Scottish Fire and Rescue Service replied, nice, but we prefer ni nor. British Transport Police in East Anglia, choo choo ni nor choo choo. London Air Ambulance Charity, we go waka 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 waka. National Crime Agency, we go click 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 click, sneak sneak, smash smash, etc. The Royal National Lifeboat Institute, beep beep beep, thud thud thud. Now I thought thud was the word, but that's the word. They know they're rescuing. And even this Spanish emergency service got involved, and apparently they say pañana, is that it? Or panana? Not sure. Not very good at Spanish. And people loved it. Someone from Canada got joined in, tried to get their Canadian forces in, and makes a little joke about the accent being thick in the UK with the nino. Just a lot of fun stuff, but you'll notice that some of the stats that you're seeing on these posts are probably higher than anything that's really focused on getting people engaged and message sharing. And you might say, well, what's the point of that? What's the point of it if it's just engagement for its own sake? That's not how algorithms work. Algorithms will judge you on how you've performed before. If you're getting lots of people engaging with you on a post, the next time you post, you're going to have a bigger audience. So actually being fun and getting engagement has a really big, important purpose in your social media strategy. It means you reach more people with the really important, serious messages. It's memorable, right, as well. I always remember that. I wouldn't have remembered anything that wasn't funny, or wasn't outstanding in some way, wasn't unusual. When people need you, they'll think of you. Just stay at the top of their mind. I put this in under the memorable bit because I bet you all remember this. Weetabix suggested that we should have Heinz beans on our Weetabix. A disgraceful, not good suggestion that got loads of brands joining in the joke. The NHS came back with that tweet should come with a health warning. National Rail said, due to Weetabix adding beans to their cereal, all services will be delayed while we figure out what is happening, etc. Right? People joined in and got involved in something that was just a welcome bit of relief, actually, after probably one of the worst times in our lives. Humour gives your audience a chance to enjoy talking to you. So if you only ever get negative comments, maybe it's because you don't give people any opportunity to say something positive to you. Your reputation is about the emotions people feel when they interact with you. So maybe give them a few things that are more light-hearted, because they're going to feel differently about you in the long term. Doncaster Council do this fabulously on Twitter. I won't go into the details of this because I bet you all follow Doncaster and have seen some of these things. But just the use of GIFs. I'm not saying, I know not all of you will like GIFs as well. Some of you will think they're cheesy or they're not right, and it all depends on the GIF you use, but maybe you just don't like GIFs at all. It's not about you. It's not about what you like. Does the audience like it? Because if they do, then you're on to something good. You're on to community building. And this kind of light-hearted approach, when you're constantly saying the same thing, like Doncaster Council were around COVID, all advice over and over again, you need to do something to capture people's attention because they are just scrolling past it. They feel they've seen it all before. So humour has huge benefit. You're aiming to amuse, not make everyone in the world roll around in hysterics. You don't have to feel like you've got the full stand-up comedian routine going on. It's just about being a bit more fun. Just make sure when you're doing this stuff, there's only one solid rule that I will say around bringing humour to your brand. Make sure that the jokes that you make relate to your brand. There's nothing funny about just a random joke that's got nothing to do with what you do or your audience. And a bit of advice: avoid snarky humour. I think you all would anyway. It's all right for Burger King to be a bit sassy about Kanye West, maybe. I don't like it. I don't see the point when there's so many other ways to make fun and jokes. There is this saying around don't punch down in comedy. Don't make someone who has less power than your organisation the joke, the butt of the joke. Your organisation will have power, so you want to make sure that you're never punching down. Don't bother being political, leave that to actual comedians to make jokes about political news. Sneery, laughing at other people's misfortune. I don't think we're going to do that anyway. There's loads of other ways to be fun. People don't like it when brands mock their fans, so we'll just avoid that. So here's some safe types of humour that you can use. Puns. I started off with this because you all know this already. I know that 50% of you comms heroes are addicted to puns anyway. You just we all love a good pun, especially if those of you who used to work in local papers particularly. I think like puns are just the only way you can get through in that job. So here's an example from Photoshop, Adobe Photoshop. Twitter had put this question out, 2020 in one word, and Photoshop says masking, which is a joke that's completely relevant to their brand because it's a play on words. It's, yes, we wear masks, but also if you're a Photoshop expert, you mask part of the picture. Don't ask me, I'm not a designer, but it's something to do with masking, covering little bits of the image that you're working with. To me, it's kind of like, oh, good joke. To someone who's a designer, it's like, I am masking. Yeah, they totally get it. Like, in-jokes are even better if you know your audience well. Leads by example. Again, this is not going to win a comedy award, but it's nice, it's memorable. If you have, if you're an area that's called Leeds, why not use that play on word of leading by example? And this is from Transport for the Greater Manchester. Peak time will be messy. And I'm not into football, but I get the joke. There is a football player called Messi, and they're playing on it. This is so much more likely to actually get people to respond and remember, because people will remember the joke. Another thing that you can do that's kind of always safe, relatable moments. So again, we talk about really getting to understand your audience in the Social Media Comms Academy. And if you do, you can really knock up these engaging posts quite easily that are about your audience going, oh, I so relate to this. So innocent drinks, we all know that they do a lot of humour. Daily reminder of what day it is today. So this is like a bank holiday tweet. So people relate to the fact that it kind of feels like a Monday, but it's Tuesday. Again, like, you're not looking for lols, you're looking for smiles, you're looking for, yeah, definitely, it does feel like a Tuesday, doesn't it? Yes, small talk stuff. This is probably not going to work, but I'll play it and we'll see. Does it work? No. Let's forget the video. This was a TikTok from a vicar. And it's a relatable moment as a vicar, right? So she's saying goodbye to a congregation after a sermon, and she comes in and does like a little dance because she's quite happy it's over because she's worked hard. Kind of have to see it to get it. I'll move on. The only way this stuff can work is if you really empathise with the audience. Again, this is a real key bit about both comedy and comms. You've got to really be able to put yourself in the shoes of the people that you're talking to if you want them to relate. So yeah, I use this all the time, just trying to think of the experiences that your audience goes through. This is a little cartoon about like the ups and downs that we feel when we just go to post something to social media of the, oh my God, it's going to be amazing, but no, everyone's going to hate me, and all of that stuff. And you might have seen this one as well. People mention this to me a lot because I think they relate to that experience of working with somebody who's just not got a clue what it's like to create content for social media. So I need you to make this go viral for me, Susan. What is it? My strategic framework for engaging stakeholders. we all know that's never going to go viral. That's the joke. One thing I think is really underutilized humour in comms is, especially kind of external comms, breaking the fourth wall. So this is kind of a theatrical term for those of you who haven't come across it. It's like when Kevin Spacey in House of Cards just talks to the camera and he's talking to us. It's like breaking the spell that it is a thing that happens. And I'll explain this with the tweets because it makes more sense. I loved it when Trump said that people should drink bleach to avoid, I mean, I didn't love it when he said it, but I loved Falkirk Council's reaction. So Trump says don't drink bleach. And they kind of let you in onto the comms team's conversation there, that you can kind of read so much between the lines. So they say, don't drink bleach. That's it. That's the post. And it kind of makes you think and fill in the gap of, they probably all sat there going, how can we tell people not to drink bleach? Like, surely they must know that already. Like, what ways can we say it? And then they come up with this. Like, I think it's a really sophisticated, fun little joke that brings the audience in with them and makes them feel like they're part of it, part of the council, that there's humans there and that they also think it's weird. But they say it so subtly. Always like to include the Museum of English Rural Life in my presentations because they are just hilarious. I love them. This is like one of the most viral tweets they did. You know, they're probably looking through all of their agricultural old pictures and someone said, look at that absolute unit. And then instead of just leaving that in the office, put it in as a tweet, and absolutely everybody loved it. 104,000 likes. Elon Musk loved it so much that I think he changed his name to the Museum of English Rural Life and changed his profile picture to this unit of Iran. It went massive because people were just kind of amused by it. And it's that thing of letting people in and letting people know that the person who's writing this content is a human being. It's not been through, it's not marketing that's been through an approval process of 16 people who removed every bit of joy as they went along. It feels like direct, like you're having a conversation. Ottawa Public Health, love this one. Due to technical difficulties, we seem to have temporarily lost access to our stock image account. We'll try our best not to let this issue disrupt our communications and hopefully no one will notice the difference. Thank you. And then they just put this kind of shoddy little drawing on there. I'm much more likely to notice the flu shot thing than if they'd have just done a beautiful designed little card that shows the places that you can go and get your flu shot. Like, unfortunately, we are human beings and little things that make us laugh are much more appealing than beautifully planned, well-designed bits of content. Doncaster Council, again, got to put them in because they are an organisation who, you don't expect to use humour, who do on a regular basis, and they get great results from it. It's strategic. They're not doing it to be, fluffy or cool. It works. So in this one, we're excited to announce that Doncaster has been chosen as the location for a British remake of Friends. And then it's this dodgy old sofa that looks a bit like the Friends thing. It's a relevant pop culture reference that people all get, that shows that they observe the world in a similar way to other people, the residents of Doncaster. It's so much more effective way to talk about fly tipping than to just do the usual, you're not allowed to fly tip. We all know that. But this kind of is a new way to think about it. And a last way that if you have some partner agencies or other organizations that you work with, you can kind of get some benefit from. People, for some reason, find it really funny when brands talk to each other like humans, because they know, this is to do with the breaking of the fourth wall. They know that the logos aren't speaking. They know that there are real people there, and there's just something weird about brands talking to each other. So Museum of English Rural Life did this thing where they shared a cute little duck, and then they say to British Museum, hey, give us your best duck. And then British Museum get involved with their duck. And then the Textile Museum of Canada share a duck that they've got. And I don't know why it's fun. I don't know why people get involved with it. I'm not that good. But all I know is that people love it. And if you can somehow bring out the silliness, give people a bit of distraction, look at something in a way that your audience might look at it and talk about it in a light-hearted way, you'll get people behind you so much more than the worthiness of, this artifact has been donated and thank you to whatever. Supermarkets do it all the time. If you can remember this thing where Aldi kind of trolled all of the other supermarkets and it all got fun where, they were all kind of having little digs at each other. It's not real, it's not a real argument. So it's kind of fun. St. Paul's Cathedral did it where it's like, I call it like fake beef, where they're pretending that they're really competitive about it, but everybody knows, everyone who joins in is getting value from it. So in this case, they kind of drop the mic and say, we've got the best cathedrals, in best architecture in the whole of England. And then everyone else comes in and they start sharing pictures of theirs, go, actually, I think they'll find mine is, and playing up this kind of little rivalry. And sometimes, I just wanted to end with this example. Sometimes you can just let your audience make the punchline. So this is from the amazing Lizzie at East Midlands Ambulance Service, who's done our social media expert course. And as part of that, looked at ways of getting her audience of kind of paramedics to, and loads of other audiences actually, to engage, in a fun way. So this is one of those kind of bowls that you get sick in at the back of the ambulance, put your cardboard thing. And they say wrong answers only. And 499 comments later, we realise actually people are up for a bit of fun. They are ready for it. We can just let them go. So if you're feeling like, I want to do some humour, but I'm not sure it's going to work, just remember, nothing that we do, we can never be 100% sure that it's going to work. If you wait until you're 100% sure, you'll be dead. So sometimes you just got to go with it and just give things a try, experiment. Don't do anything too controversial or too pushy. Just try a little bit of extra humour. If fear is stopping you, you can come and join our academy, right? We'll help you. It's not just about humour there, but we'll always help you to do it right, to manage and prepare in case you're worried about negativity, to grow your confidence and your skill at getting this stuff just so your audience is eating out your hand and love you. Your organisations, everyone here works for an organisation that does beautiful work. So why not aim for a community of people who love you, who are fans, not just stakeholders? If you'd like to come and join, we got a discount code, commsHERO21, you'll get 10% off. Boot camp's coming up too, if you want to join that. It's an afternoon where we plan our content for the rest of the year, for 2022. I'm not very good at planning, so I thought, well, let's plan together. And then, then we'll all get it done. And we've got something coming up about Facebook ads. Before I finish, I was going to show you this one thing, but it probably isn't going to work, but it's so worth it that I'm going to try it, right? So it's not to do with anything other than it just made me laugh. And some of you may have seen it already, but let's try it.
I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet.
Kind of rough. I'll tweet it. There is a surprise at the end if you haven't seen it. Let me know in the comments if you have seen it, because it's really good. And I just wish that I could have finished with it, but never mind. Right. Tomorrow is World Smile Day. So are you going to do something to put a smile on your audience's face? Let me know if you are. I'd love to see it.
Thank you so much. That was great. Fabulous. We've been chatting here about funny social media posts that we've seen over the years, and we've said that we all really love how innocent do their social media. It's amazing. There we go. And Lee has a question for you. Say, what is the most memorable tweet you have ever seen, good or bad?
Oh, it's funny though, isn't it? Like the first thing that you think of, you just think, oh, I'm not going to say that. Let me think of a memorable tweet that I can say that isn't ridiculous.
And so thinking on the spot now. It's hard to when you need to think about something.
Well, I mean, I'll just be honest. The first one that I thought of was, and I don't know why this is at the top of my head. Do you remember? Some of you may know the food critic Matthew Fort. He's like a judge on Great British Menu, and I met him once. This is probably why it's memorable. He put a tweet out in, and he was writing this new supplement for the Observer, which is called Cook, and he got it wrong, and he put cock on it. So he said, "Oh, everyone needs to look at our new magazine, Cock." So that, I mean, because I'm a childish person, that's the first thing that came to my mind. It made me laugh and it was memorable. And often mistakes, Susan album party, that really sticks in my mind, although both of those things were accidental funnies.
Still funny though, still counts.
Yeah.
So we've got a question from Elliot, who said, "I just wondered how you pronounced your name, Helen."
Oh yes, thank you, Elliot. Yeah, Helen Reynolds. That's the official pronunciation. Elliot has seen my LinkedIn profile, which I like to occasionally play with the audio feature that allows people to hear the pronunciation of your name. So for a while, I was Helen Reynolds.
Oh, God. And then we've got a question from Jules Loveland. She says, "How do you suggest a charity uses humour? I work for a dementia charity and thought maybe we can't be humorous, but could have a video or quotes that are funny from people with dementia. Are there any other ways?"
Yeah, that's lovely. I mean, I think you'll know what the boundaries are, but one way I can think of that's useful for all sorts of brands is misconceptions, common misconceptions. So what do people think about dementia that they get really badly wrong, or what sometimes it can be about things that people say to you. So I can think of this for us, things that people say to comms that are massive, misconceptions, or they get wrong, or those kind of things can work really well, because what you're doing is you're making the people who are wrong the butt of the joke, or if you were in almost any brand, you can kind of think of tapping into that idea of what is making your audience roll their eyes and go, oh. And sometimes there's some fun to be had in kind of showing that for how silly it is. But there's loads of other ways. I'll have a little think about other ways that something like a dementia charity could be funny. But a lot of the time it's just rooted in the experience of the people that you're talking to and the things that they often encounter that make them laugh.
Yeah, it's everything that's relatable, isn't it? If people can relate to it, they'll find it funny and share it amongst their peers. And then I think this is the last question that we have. It's from David Vizard. He says, "What should you do if your attempt at humour goes wrong?"
Apologise. Yeah, if it goes, I mean, it depends how it goes wrong as well. Like, if it goes wrong in that it's not funny and that's it, so people are just like, oh my God, stick to the day job, this is not funny, then don't apologise. Just kind of go, oh, well, we were just trying to lighten things up a bit. If it goes wrong I just can't imagine how you'd get it too wrong, because no one hears anything that's offensive. But if you did get it wrong, it depends who thinks you got it wrong. So, if you think yourself, actually, on reflection, this was really badly judged, then you immediately go in and just own it and just say, look, judge, wish we hadn't done it. Totally understand where you're coming from if you didn't like it, and, normal service resumes. If it's a case of your chief exec didn't like it, but your audience did, then I wouldn't be going in and apologising at all. I would be, okay, I can't win this argument, let's say, with the chief exec to say you don't like it, but our audience does, and that's who I'm working for here. It would be a case of just take it down and try not to apologise too much, because you're the expert and you've just got to find that confidence to make sure that when you're putting something out, it's not going to hurt anyone, it's not going to harm anyone or offend, and then it won't go too wrong.
That's really good advice.
Some of the things, sometimes it goes wrong in that some people just don't like the joke. So, I'm going to say, I'm going to say a controversial opinion here. I don't laugh at innocents' tweets. I like them, but I don't find them like hilariously funny. But some people do, and that's fine. Like, not everyone's going to like the joke. So sometimes you just got to own it and just go, yeah, it's not going to be for everyone. But we've got plenty of stuff that other people will like too. You haven't just ended the world or failed because you got one thing that a few people didn't like.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Fabulous. Thank you very much. And we're just about, we think we're about to finish on time, actually. And I think that's the first for you, Helen, isn't it? And when you run over on commsHERO catch
Definitely.
up.
I run over on everything.
Oh well. This is just a reminder to everyone that we do still have competitions going through. You can win. I'm going to grab it. Pets at Home vouchers if you share a photo of your pet on social media with the commsHERO event. And you can win diaries. This is Helen's. Helen, this is coming to you very soon. Just to let you know. So sorry. But you can win this one. Or this one. We're going to get the other way. There you go. And you can get Sharpies like this. And there's also a £30 Amazon voucher up for grabs each day, all if you just take a photo of yourself watching the session on commsHERO week, or your dog, your cat, whatever pet you have. And lastly, the commsHERO after party is starting in 2 hours. Well, it's under 2 hours now. So if you're not registered, get registered because it's going to be a night full of entertainment. There's going to be Graham Park is going to be performing. We've got comedian Arthur Smith, and we've got Side of the Magician, which is going to be really fun. So bring your dancing shoes. I hope those beers and everything's in the fridge already, cooling. We're going to get a takeaway, so I hope everyone else is ordering a takeaway too. And I hope everyone shares what takeaway they're going to have because we don't know what we haven't decided yet. And also, a very last note as well, if you haven't ordered your commsHERO t-shirts to come with your commsHERO swag post-event pack, please do. There'll be an email reminder going out either today or tomorrow. So please do, because if you don't get it in, then unfortunately you won't be able to get a t-shirt within your pack. So a huge thanks for Helen for joining us, and our next session will be on at 6:15 with Ruth Dale, who'll be holding her very own murder mystery commsHERO style. And I'll see you at the after party later.